What's up, bud?
Yo, what's up?
Can you hear me?
What? Yeah, I hear you, dude. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great.
That sounds fucking good. Sounds like we're already off
Yeah,
to a great start.
yeah.
So,
Ready to learn,
yeah,
do whatever.
hell yeah, that sounds fucking fantastic. So, quickly, tell me really fast
Hmm.
what league we're talking about today, and what matchup, and like a brief background of like what you want to kind of go over.
Yeah, so I'm D2 Zerg. Got my D3 off races after your beta GM, but I'm looking for some Zerg coaching. I feel like my ZvZ is probably my weakest. I tend to fall behind early, so I have a couple replays where that happens. The games progress after the early stage; they go a bit better, and actually, I end up winning those. But I think in the beginning, I fall really far behind, and I think that's setting my ZvZ back for other games as well.
Okay, so ZvZ. Well, definitely. I just sent you my info, by the way, on BattleNet, so you can toss me an ad or whatever, and we can get it going.
Okay.
But yeah, ZvZ is not like ZVP and ZVT, for sure. It's definitely a lot more uh, of a shit show. Like I don't know how else to
Yeah.
explain it. It's there's a lot of like this, like it's every game is not going to be the same. Is the best way to kind of describe it. It's you have to kind of like make judgment calls. So we can definitely like break it down and like see what's happening in your games and maybe like give you some rules basically. That'll be like, okay, if this happens, I do this. If this happens, I do that.
Nice. That sounds great.
All right. Is your name Inept, by the way, in game?
No, I'm Emu.
Okay. I just added you, but I don't see you. Are you on right now?
Yeah, I see you. Do you want me to invite?
Yeah, do invite me then. I don't know why I don't see you.
Do I do the like watch with others on the replay, or
Yeah,
can I
yeah.
just
So
invite you to party?
just invite
Okay.
me to party first, and then it'll allow you to make a replay with me. And
Oh,
then
cool.
once you have the replay hosted and it's like we're in the lobby, then toss me lobby host and we're good.
All right.
All right, man. So how's your day going?
It's good. Did some work. Now I'm chilling.
Oh fuck yeah. I woke up, got a little bit of exercise in, got stream ready, and now I'm here too.
That's good. I gotta do that. Gotta get that exercise in.
Yeah, man. Been motivated lately. All right. I'm gonna watch from your perspective. You're in the Neuro W clan. I like it. It's good. Good choice. I mean, it's
I
not.
lost to a VFAMer earlier too,
It,
so you
I
know.
I mean, I was gonna say it's not the V fam, but it's still a good choice. All right. So, in general, there's kind of a tip here I'll give you. There's a couple things already that are gonna make this. I don't know how often your average ZVZ looks like this, but first things first. If you're gonna go for a natural in ZvZ, very, very, very important thing to do is to be going for a 16 hatch instead of a 17 hatch. And the reason why that's actually so important is because when the hatchery is actually finished, like if you click on your main right now and you mouse over the armor, it actually has an armor. Whereas if you build the hatchery, it has no armor while it's building. So if you get 12 pulled, it's really fucking hard to defend your hatchery if you 17 pull it. Or sorry, if you 17 hatch it. Because it finishes way later after the links kind of beat the shit out of it.
Okay, yeah, I do 16 hatch for the other matchup, so I can do that for ZVZ
Cool.
too.
Yeah, it's. I would say it's probably the most important in ZvZ because 12 pull's just horrible otherwise.
Cool.
All right, and then you're going for like a standard 1817 gas pull. Pretty nice. Good stuff.
Is there a way I can see your camera in my game?
You
Or
cannot, unfortunately. I'm sorry.
okay, that's fine.
I'll just
I
try to
have the
just.
stream open too.
Yeah, I'll try to describe everything I'm looking at whenever I am looking at it. All right. Okay. Here's the next thing. Okay. You ready? Are you fucking ready, dude? So you see the
So ready.
you see the server load you're making right now?
Yes.
Don't do that.
Okay.
It sounds scary. You're like, what the fuck? I don't want a supply block. But don't do it, man, because here's why. If this dude were to be going, because you haven't seen two overlords yet as well, which is also a big thing here. Where obviously we know he's going for a natural, but this is a way you can abuse Zergs who like to cheese you. If you wait until 2 minutes, your larva will not hit 3 on your hatchery. You'll be like 2, and about like 3 seconds later, a third one's gonna pop out at 2 minutes exactly. So if you build your Overlord at 2 minutes, if you have not yet seen Lings, you give yourself the best chance to deal with an early pool. But at the same time, you don't actually block your larva, and you won't supply block either because your natural finishes and gives you supply anyways.
Cool. Okay.
So it's huge. It's that it literally makes a difference of like 6 or 8 lings if someone attacks you, which is if you're getting hit by like 8 lings and you have 8 lings, it's way easier.
Okay.
Okay. Overlord goes a little off scout. It's okay. That's not super okay. We definitely want to see that hatchery timing, but I know there was a shift click command because you probably just don't want to lose your Overlord, which is fine. Okay, it's going back in now, which is super important because here's the important thing too. I'm going to pause it again right now and say you can also tell what kind of a build somebody's doing, not only if your Overlord gets there early enough to see the hatchery build production time compared to yours, but also the creep if you compare your creep to their creep.
Yep.
Yeah. So like basically the point is like the simple way to break this down is if you went for a normal natural and your opponent went for anything that is later than yours, you have to be like, why the fuck is that late? And how late is that, right? Like if it's like 20 seconds late, you might want to build a fucking spine crawler because you're probably going to get hit by a bunch of speedlings.
Yeah, I feel like at this point I already know he's gone for an earlier pool, right?
Yeah, like so at this point you definitely know he has the access to have already not only made 4 lings, but they're already sitting in front of his natural, and his creep is on as far spread as yours. Like his creep is like barely off the hatchery, which means his natural is probably about like 8 to 10 seconds after yours or something like that. So I wouldn't necessarily automatically be like, okay, we're getting all in right now, but and there's a queen already out that's running at your fucking Overlord. I would definitely think though that there is going to be a potential of aggression, but it's not necessarily. It doesn't necessarily mean it has to be all in. I would, as a response to this though, I would do what you did, which is probably take a fucking quick Bane nest, and it maybe only send out like 2 lings, or something to go try and get into his base and scout. Don't send like a lot because you should also expect him to have speed faster than you, at this point.
Right. Yeah, I think that's why I have them retreating here.
Yeah, exactly. This is good. I would still like you to scout with a couple lings though, like just like 2, just to like try to get in his base, because if you actually do get into his base right now and you see, you could see him either having literally no fucking natural economy, or you could see, he might just be trying to like fuck with you in a way where it's like my build is really safe to him, but to you it's like this looks really aggressive, and then he actually just makes mass drones behind it, and you're just like over there being like, oh shit, okay, I think I'm gonna get all in, but you're really not. That's why those 2 lings make a big deal, right?
Okay.
But okay, no, another thing too. This is huge too. I know your Overlord got pushed away by the Queen, but really make an effort to make sure your Overlord, as quick as possible, gets back into the pathing line where he can leave his base and come to yours. Because right now you have the top pathing line covered. There's no way he can attack you with lings from the north side without you knowing about it. But you have no idea how many lings he's flooding at you, so you have no way to read how many lings you should be making. So it's like a guessing game right now for you.
Yeah. And
then yeah, just I would say your 3rd Overlord, that's kind of in the, well, I'm just gonna go back and look at the micro in a second. The 3rd Overlord that's kind of like in front of your natural, that's chilling. That Overlord should also be kind of like moving to maybe like the middle bridges, just so you can have Overlords 1, 2, and 3 over on the map to like scout aggressively as he comes across the map, and then Overlords 4 and 5 can like fill in front of your natural and in front of your 3rd, so you can see like aggression actually at your base.
So when I've heard you talk about, these Overlord spots to like catch all possible paths.
Yeah.
Do you have these like memorized? Like I feel like I can look at a map and figure out where the Overlords should be,
Sure.
But in the game I don't know beforehand, and it's hard to like figure it out in the moment.
So Overlord path, or like the top Overlord you have, in the very top middle of the map, that Overlord's perfect. It doesn't have to be exactly that spot, but the whole idea is you don't want to have a gap of darkness between the opening where he can run out, which you have completely covered right now, the hallway. And then you also want to have it in range as well to see the third. So it could be, the Overlord can move bottom right down a little bit further than it is now, and it would also be fine. And but where it is also fine. The Overlord on the left, however, like the middle left area, that Overlord would need to see at some type of range where it would see between the destructible rocks and the edge of the other edge of the ramp, to where there's no way Zerglings could run by your Overlord and not let you see it. Those are the two most important Overlord spots. And it could be, the closer it gets to the ramp, the more obviously exposed it's going to be to possibly dying to a queen. But as long as you see the edge of the ramp and you can see as he floods out of his base, because what you should be doing, a reaction you should have when you're getting attacked like this, is to periodically look at the minimap. Like, you don't have to actually look at his base or the Overlord. Just look at the minimap periodically while you like make units. Because if you see, or like maybe you'll train your peripheral to see this over time as well. Because if you see constant red lines coming at your base, that is telling you, okay, fucking do not make drones right now. We're getting all in. We're getting attacked. Unless you're like dominating his attacks with like what you already have, you need to make more stuff. But yeah, because if you make drones right now, you're just gonna die. Like, so, and the thing that's hard too is some Zergs like to throw an aggression and then immediately just switch gears and be like, I'm making 12 drones now. So you can see like the stop of the flood basically with your like the lack thereof, right?
Yep.
All right, and now positioning, right? Let's talk about positioning here for a second, because this was a bit brutal. So the best way this could have gone for you is, again, if you have Overlord placements, you see where he is, you know what's coming. Let's say you have a little bit of time to react to it. You do have 3 queens, which I like a lot, but the perfect way to fight this would have actually been to have let him commit to your natural, because, I mean, there's not really much going on at your natural anyways, and he's not going to kill your hatchery. If he does actually make you cancel your third, and you're not really ready to defend it yet, well, that's okay. Usually, there's only 2 reasons why that would happen. Number 1 is you just kind of like fucked up your larva and you just aren't spinning it very well. It could be due to a supply block. Maybe you missed an inject. Whatever. You're just not spending your money properly. That happens sometimes. But another reason why you would ever look at someone's army and go, shit, you have way more than I do. Okay. Why is that? A good way to read that would be like if you went, okay, well, let's just say hypothetically, you go, he doesn't have a third. I do have a third, and maybe I have more drones than he does. If you're actually spinning your larva perfectly. That's the only reason why that would make sense. So a good way to defend this would be if he goes for the third, just cancel it, because you know you're going to lose the fight anyways if you go out there. And instead put your queens on the ramp, side by side, and then put your lings like behind the mineral line, like to the right of where the queens would be. So the lings, when they come in, are going to get caught up on the queens heavily. Like a lot of the lings are going to get shitty surface area for him. And your lings, once again, also give him shitty surface area because you're fighting with terrain blocking edges of where he can fight him. Like, you're trying to limit surface area as much as possible because he has more. And the reason why this is so good is because you're using range units. And you're also building banelings. So you're going to have AoE plus range helping you in this fight where he's only got lings. So it's going to mitigate the difference heavily in terms of him just overwhelming you.
Yeah, I definitely get fixated on trying to defend the third.
Yeah. And then, honestly, you were actually okay. Even if you canceled the third, you were still okay. But after that attack, you're definitely now behind. You're not dead, but you are behind.
Yeah.
And again, this is really heavily due to you just don't know how much shit he's sending out of his base. Like, that Overlord is fucking you over so bad right now. It's making this whole game a question mark for you.
Yeah, him pushing that Overlord away was a good move, but I needed to respond to it.
Yeah. And then your Banes are coming. There we go. Again, this is still somewhat doable, but rough for sure. At this point, once you get Banes, again, this is that moment where in a game of ZvZ where it's a question mark again, you need to not only, again, I know I'm saying this a lot, but you need to have Overlord placements really well. Like, you need to be able to see him just, if he were to run across the map, you can spot him at least once, if not multiple times. But a big one too right now would be, he just committed to a lot of lings. You know he spent some larva on some Zerglings, But the second this gets dealt with, or even like right now, because you know you can deal with this because you have Banes and Queens and you have a good enough amount of Lings to really push this away, send like 2 Zerglings into his base. Like 2 is always good because if he has a Spine and a Queen, 1 will always make it in. The only way he'll deny 2 Lings is if he blows a Bane on it. And even then, if you're blowing up a Bane with 1 or 2 Lings at a time, that's also good for you. But getting into his base right now and trying to just see what he's doing is really important because right now as well, you don't see a third at all. And if I were you, I would be worried about, like, is he rushing Mutas because he hasn't made any Banes? Like, is he going fucking... Is there going to be, like, a follow-up Roach all-in? Is it, like, Evo Chamberlings? Like, what the hell is going on here? Why doesn't he not have a third base? And even if he did have a third base, you'd still want to scout him just to see drone counts.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I'd never do that 2 Link scout, but I see better players do it.
Yeah, you should honestly the amount of time you should do it, like the amount of time that should go by between times that you do it should be about 1 minute, and it only is in the developing stage. So like right around like 6 minutes, developing stage is over because, or like maybe 6 to 7 minutes somewhere in there. It comes to an end then, because you've kind of like made your choice then by that point as to what you're gonna do. Like, one player will either have gone full all-in all game at this point, or one player will have squeezed out enough drones to get to a point where they actually have saturation now. But so like, and your speed will finish around like 3 minutes. So you're going to be scouting him like 4 times. Like 3 times or 4 times on average. Just to be like, what are you up to now? What are you up to now? What are you up to now?
Okay.
Because like right now, with the amount of Lings you have, this is ooh, yeah, a little rough Baneling hit, but it's putting in that spot where you have a lot of Lings that are active, or you had a lot of Lings that were active a second ago, and this dude actually has a lot of drones on you right now, even though you have the third. So it's kind of rough to. This is now a tough spot to come back from, and he's going for 2 base Spire. So if I were to ask you, okay, really quick, let's just say hypothetically you sent 2 Lings into his base. And you saw, let's just say, you look at everyone's vision. Let's say you saw all of it. What would you do as a response to this?
I'd probably make 3 Queens and a Spore in each base.
Okay. Anything else?
And then the rest of the money into drones probably.
Okay. I agree. I agree with you. It's I would make even more than that, but you're already on the right track. What I would do as well is I would say it's probably going to be a really, really good idea to throw down a Roach Warren to make Queens, like you said, and to make some Spores. Because if you make a Roach Warren, what you can do, you don't have to go mass Roaches, but you can just make like a few. Like we're talking like 10 Roaches, and you can zone out him going Ling Bane really well if you have some Roaches mixed in with your army. You can also have your own Banes. Like you don't need to have mass Banes. We're talking maybe like 10 Roaches and like 6 Banes. And suddenly it's really hard for him to attack you at all with Ling Bane mixed in with the Muta. And then if you actually make enough, let's just say you make like 9 Queens, okay? You have like 1 Queen per hatchery to inject, and you have like 6 Queens that can roam around the front of your base, which will also help reinforce the Roaches against the Ling Bane. And it will also zone out the Mutas as well whenever they try to engage. And then you have like, we're talking seriously like 12 Spore Colors. It's not like 1 per base, but we're talking like 12. Overall, and what you would do is you would creep spread your bases right now. All your bases need to connect to each other with creep, and you would put like a triangle of Spores around each hatchery, and you would fill in a couple gaps of open area where rally points would go, like rotating Queens, rotating Banes, rotating Roaches, so Mutas can't punish that. So like it would be like 2 Spores between your natural and your third, and like 1 Spore between your main and your natural.
Is that only because he's on 2 base, or
yes,
you do this?
The reason why is because he's already got fucking Spire going, and you don't even have a layer started.
Right.
Like you are not gonna have tech and time for this at all. You're gonna 100% be on defense, and the only advantage you have is the third base. So you can definitely take an advantage in this game if you go through an economy route, which you need to cover properly. Which the only way you're gonna be able to do that is if you connect your bases, make Spores, and make Queens, and do like the Roach thing, because he might go Ling Bane as well. Because realistically, if he makes like 8 Mutas and then stops and then goes mass Ling Bane, like how would you expect it to deal with that realistically if you have no Roaches? Like, so that's why you would need Roaches there. And then if he goes for a shitload of mutas, and he just makes, you know, maybe like a ton of mutas and lings, and you have like 1 spore per base, and let's just say he just pokes the edge of the hatchery at your third, like, and that spore can't even shoot because it's out of range. Like, there's no way you can really deal with that either. It'll be rough. It would just be difficult. So, over committing.
I think you just predicted the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like overcommitting to defense right now, while like you said, while you drone heavily, is really what you should be doing right now for sure. But again, that would only come from the fact that you would know what he's doing, and right now you actually have no idea what he's doing, other than the fact that he's 2 bases. But yeah, you wouldn't need to go as hard into defense if you also had a response to it, like you had your own layer, you had maybe a Hydrogen already started, or you had your own Spire coming as well. Some, like, you know, you could match him unit for unit. That'd be fine. But tech is super far behind right now for you, so definitely need some extra committed zoning defense. I like that you're scouting the map though, at least. Like you're checking for bases just to make sure there's no hidden base, because muta players will actually do this often. But I do definitely want to see more Ling scouts in the base.
Yep. Okay.
All right, so now we see a third. And a delayed third like this too. Like another thing too is just as a mindset you should always have, whenever your opponent doesn't take a third, and we're talking like if his third still has not started by the time your third is done, that should like set an alarm off in your head that goes, we need to fucking figure out what he's doing with his gas, because there's no reason why this third should be this late, because he's definitely prioritizing gas more than if that's the case.
Right.
Yeah, these mutas are definitely just going to punish your ass right now. There's no way they get zoned, really. Because imagine right now if you had creep spore between all your bases, and there's he's flying over 2 spores right now, which are rally spores, and then he gets to this base, and there's 3 more spores here. And you have, again, you have Roach Queen. So your queens could have just like zoned the mutas, and your roaches and banes could be at your third or something.
I would definitely love 6 queens right now. That'd be great.
Yeah. Yeah, and then exactly, he can just abuse the hatchery now, kill it, and now it screws you. And now he's the one with a third, and you're the one who's contained on 2 bases. Another thing to look at too is, like, ideally, you know, like the number one ideal thing that would have happened would have been your base would have been able to be defended by all the things we just talked about. But if you ever find yourself in a situation where you're like, oh fuck, okay, these mutas are gonna own me right now, I'm not ready for this, a great thing you can do is actually just running across the map with your roaches right away, and back like right about here. Let's back it up to when this would have happened. Right about now. If you were like, oh shit, I'm not ready for this, running across the map with your roaches and lings would have been a great way to respond to this, because what it would do is it would actually make him turn around and chase your units, and then you're going to lose all your units. That is definitely going to happen. But this is a replaceable army for you, and it would buy you time to set up a proper defense. And again, a proper defense is like what we just talked about. So you would, if you ever got surprised, you would need to do that, basically. Otherwise, you're fucked anyways. Because getting his mutas to get out of here will allow you to spread some creep tumors and make some more spores and get everything set up properly. And then you have Banes and Queens still in defense, which can deal with like a Zergling counter. But if his mutas just stay here and he does not turn around, these roaches and lings are actually able to possibly just wipe out his entire mineral line. So yeah, he kind of needs to turn around for that. Like right now, perfect time to move out, because he's, yeah. It's just, I don't know. It's required basically, because otherwise you're going to be getting picked apart until you die, essentially.
Yep.
All right, and then right now it's this is now a rough spot to be in. The game's definitely not over yet, surprisingly. Holy shit. Okay, let's see what you got, dude. Let's see how your transitions go. But yeah,
this is definitely the low point of the game.
Yeah. Okay, well he fucking like loses a lot of mutas to spores right there. That was nice. Best thing you can do right now, again, is you're going. Okay, so here's your choice was Aspire. Aspire is risky as hell, I'll say. If you know you're behind, and there's no way, realistically, you're going to be able to like overpower his mute account with your mute account because he has more now. Right now, at this point, he has more bases than you in terms of gas mining, and he also was mining more gas than you up to this point too because he rushed a layer, and he delayed his third, and you were making a lot of lings in the time that he was going for, you know, 2-base layer essentially. Basically there's no reason why you should ever feel like you have the lead with mute account right now, so making the Spire is a little bit risky. The only way I would say that this would make sense is if you play a defensive game from this point, like you never move out. You just literally sit here defensively and let him always attack inefficiently into like static D or something. Like you try to do something cost efficient. Another way to do it would be Corruptor. But if you make Corruptor, it's a bit of a tricky game because if he just goes back into like Massling Bane, you would die again. We'll see what you do though. Well, we'll see what you do. You're going into mutas, so yeah, I would say if you do move out here, this is super scary. The biggest goal for right now for you should definitely be retaking your third base and getting that situated. Like here's the best way to say this, okay? This is how I would actually, if I were you, or if I was sitting like next to you while you're playing this game, I would be telling you, do not fucking make mutas right now. Make drone, like even though you just made the Spire, do not make mutas. You can get upgrades on the Spire, but you need to build a fucking economy, and you need to also build something more cost efficient per larva. Other than a muta, like if you were to make anything out of that larva, it should be a drone, and some of those drones should be spores because one drone into a spore, which is also one larva, trades better muta versus muta than one muta does. And then on top of that, it allows you to fix your economy faster. And you can still get upgrades, which means you're not going to fall too far behind in the Spire game at that point. But if you fix your economy now, and then you make your mutas later and do something cost efficient to not die until later, then you're not going to die at all because you'll have this like surge of power where suddenly you get to spend all your money on mutas, and you actually have mutas with like possibly in like level 2 upgrades of like Carapace or some shit. And in the meantime, while you're trying to get to that point, maybe you do a couple Ling run bys, maybe you get lucky and kill a bunch of drones while you're making your own drones, and suddenly you're back in the game. But making mutas right now, all that's going to happen is if you move out, you should never feel like you have the lead. Like you will lose a fight if you fight him right now. You should feel that way. And the more you move out on the map, the more risk you're putting yourself in where you're going to get fucked by his mutas. And yeah, like right now, moving out. If this Zerg player was really aware of what was going on, and he saw you with his Overlord, and he knew what he was doing in terms of like punishing this, all he'd have to do right now is zone you, and then you'd die, and then you would be dead.
No one knows the zoning trick though. They always just follow.
Exactly. That's why I always describe that shit when I play muta versus muta, because zoning is like he has so many more mutas than you. Is exactly what should be happening. Muta versus muta was like really common in Wings of Liberty, so everybody kind of understood that rule. That was, you know, Masters level. But ever since Heart of the Swarm, where they're like, Spore Crawlers do 45 damage to mutas now, everyone's like, okay, fuck mutas. I'm never doing that again. And then they slowly nerfed it back a little bit, back to 30. But still, like, mutas is such like a lost art for Zergs, basically. Like, no one really knows how to do mutas in Legacy of the Void, unless you're like old school. Yeah, that Spore Crawler with a couple queens out with the Transfuses definitely saved your ass right there. And that's exactly what needs to be happening. Like, it's cost efficiency. Like, thank God you built these spores, right? And now suddenly you're back in the game and you did a Ling run by, which, okay, so this was great. Moving out with your mutas was risky. I really like the Ling run by though, because there's the reason why the Lings are so good here is because they can't get punished that hard by mutas, because Lings run faster than Mutas do. Like, he might be able to zone your Lings a little bit and kill some of them if he catches you in this awkward location. But in general, Lings can get in and out without really sustaining damage if you choose not to engage a fight. So you found an opportunity and you took it, and you just fucking wiped out his third base. That was great. You know, luckily enough for you, he actually committed to a Spore and Queen, and he lost his Mutas too. So you just retook control of this entire game, and now what you should be doing at this point is... You tell me, what do you think you should do right now? And then I'll tell you what I think.
I went with my Mutas to see what damage I could do, what free trades I could get, and
Sure.
I continued to econ drone up.
Okay, perfect. That's exactly what I would tell you to do. I would be like, because he just lost all of his Mutas, and you also just wiped out his economy, maybe try and secure the kill in the third with your Mutas just to make sure it goes down. And then, yeah, make drones, because there's no reason why you should not make drones. And if you ever see an army of Mutas off of your Lings here before your Mutas get there, that looks like he had a big bank, and you're like, oh shit, okay, that's kind of like a scary amount of Mutas. Don't even feel forced to engage that, because even worst case scenario, you just fall back to your base and you have a faster saturated third than he does once again, and you're ahead again in that regard. And then you just play it patiently and build up a Muta count off 3 base while he's trying to catch up on drones again.
Yeah, so I'm definitely happy to go through this game. It goes way better from here, so there may be less learning opportunity, but also if you want to anything, whatever, however you think you want
Sure.
to go.
It's I mean, there's I feel like the winning or losing is always a good. There's always like a good amount of information that can be had, like, because knowing how to play a game from ahead or knowing how to play a game from behind is also really important. And right now, like, I would say this: if you take this fight with him right now, this is an opportunity to throw the game away, because you don't, like, he did just lose a lot of Mutas, but he also did kill a lot of your Mutas at the same time. He has guaranteed in many ways throughout this game had more gas than you. So you should expect, even though he might take an inefficient fight with his Mutas, he does have a bigger gas bank to work with than you have had throughout this game, because he's just been mining. He's been mined more than you up to this point, because he's prioritized it more than you have. So taking a fight right now is questionable. And also, if you look at his Mutas, he's got 2 upgrades already done, and you have 0. So if you take a fight that looks overwhelmingly good for you, like it's 12 Mutas for you versus 5 of his, that's fine. But if you take a fight that is like anywhere in the equal range to, like, close, like he's got 11, you've got 12 or something, or he's got a clump and you have a clump and you can't really tell which is what, taking a fight wouldn't be the best idea here.
Yeah, I'm not good at checking upgrades. I need to do that.
That's, oh, see, like right now, because what's happening right now too is, you're taking the fight against his Mutas, and again, all the things we just talked about. But another reason why this is also kind of scary is you're taking a fight right above his hatchery, and what's happening is you're bouncing glaives. His glaives are bouncing into your Mutas the entire time. He's doing 100% damage into you, and you're doing damage into his larva. You're doing damage into his hatchery, so you're getting like 40% or like 30% of your Mutas damage is actually not doing anything because it's bouncing into his buildings.
Yeah.
So this is it's like a double negative here for you. I mean, you are actually overwhelming a bit though, but it's still fucking super scary. Like, there are so many Mutas that could be dead right now. Oh my god. That's 4 super juicy Mutas right there. Thank God they didn't die.
If you had like a little bit faster reinforcements, I'd be scared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's kind of doing the same thing to you that you just did to him with the Ling run by, which sucks, which is another reason why moving out. You got to be like careful about it. So like, again, moving out with the Mutas and testing him and seeing what was going on was fine. But just imagine again if you did not take that fight with your Mutas, because your Lings got overpowered and your Mutas were like, okay, you're like, okay, I just got Mutas now, and he has a lot of Lings. I'm pretty sure he showed you his Lings when he killed your Lings. I'm gonna go back and look at that just to make 100% sure that I'm not crazy.
You're engaging the opponent.
Or your Lings just back off. Okay, so again, this is one of those things where scouting his base again, just for a second, wouldn't be the worst idea, because again, right now, here's the thing. This is actually really important. I'm glad we're talking about this right now, because this is super, super important. You don't know if this guy... Oh, by the way, Shinron, thank you for the sub, man. Thank you. You don't know if this dude is gonna go for a bunch of lings right now. You don't know if he's gonna go to replace for a bunch of drones right now. You don't know if he's gonna make a bunch of mutas right now. You actually have no idea what he's gonna do. And if you're gonna move out with your ling and muta like you did, like we talked about a second ago, I think that was totally fine. But if you're gonna move out and you're gonna make drones, you're gonna completely expose your base. Something we didn't say that is also really important is you don't actually have control of the game yet. This game is kind of like, it's still a question mark as to like how good it's actually going for you, because you don't know what he's like. It's either one of you could take map control from the other within a fucking snap of a finger. Neither one of you has committed control for a while. So if you're gonna move out and be exposed, making like 2 Banes just to have back at your base would be really important. And then just again like running a ling or 2 into his base just to see, are you fucking making mass lings right now, or are you gonna make drone? Again, you just need to know what it is, and if it is lings, you can actually turn around and go home defensively and be okay, because he just made a bunch of lings, you just made a bunch of drones, and you can once again then move out once you start making units off of your good drone count.
Yep.
But taking this fight right here, and he does also show you his lings with that's what it was. He shows you his lings with because they're in like probably the same group as his mutas or some shit. This should be a sign to go, oh fuck, okay, that's a lot of lings. And right now, I would say, even if you feel like you're gonna win this muta fight, which you end up winning, at the very least, you need to make a couple Banes back at home, just to be okay. Because this is going to wreck your face otherwise. Because right now what just happens here is you reset him a second ago, which was great, but now he's resetting you again, which is, it puts you back to square one again, which now you're behind.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then you're moving out again, and you're making drones again. You do have a Bane this time, just one, which I like. But now you see he's actually this dude is actually transitioning into Hydra, which is okay. That's not a bad thing. A great way to play this game out from where you are now, I would say, is honestly take another base, because you have plenty of money to do it, but also like you kind of need to take another base because you're mining out. And you do also want more drones than you have, which is, I'm glad you're making more. But I would say take another base right now, maybe even 2 bases, or at the very least like a macro hatch. And now that you know he's going into Hydra, you can now commit deeper into Ling Bane than into Muta.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm like having another hatchery, like if it was a macro hatch, would make a lot of sense here, because you're going to be going heavier into larva now into Zergling, and it's going to be a lot cheaper on your larva than making mutas. So you're going to have...
Yeah, I got the Bane speed, but not the more production. That's definitely needed.
Yeah.
Your warriors have engaged the enemy.
And now that he's also showing you that he's going Hydra, I would say your mutas, the way you're using them is, you know, like, try not to take a fight at all if you think there's anything that's going to kill you. I think you already lost like 3 mutas, which I understand, like it's time consuming, and it's like crazy to like control mutas while you're trying to macro and fix everything. But this would be like the stage to be very non-committal with muta. You just want to make him feel pressured so he doesn't attack you. So if he's like, okay, muta's over there, just keeping him busy, because there's always a chance you'll do damage, but you're not actually taking the opportunities to do damage, because you just do not want to lose mutas at all right now, because if you do, you're going to immediately make him go, okay, I'm going to attack you now because your mutas are dead, and that was the only thing making me stay defensive. But making Banes, like you are, is definitely the go-to. Making Roaches is not a good idea. Roaches are a waste of your larva right now. It's just I would say all Ling Bane right now is what you should be doing. And also, your upgrade on your Spire is... I would say it would have been correct if he kept going mutas, but it's now incorrect that he's going Hydras. It should be weapons. It always should be weapons if it's not mutas. And the fact that he's going into Hydra heavy now, that means like you should be now thinking about the fact that he might go Hydra, Hydra Lurker, Viper, Hydra Roach. Like I don't know why he wanted to switch into Hydras as much as he did. Like he definitely had a good position with the mutas, especially since he was level 2 weapons versus 0/0. But yeah. Anyways, it's always weapons if it's not mass muta, and the Hydra tells you he's now going out of muta.
Right. Okay.
And
Your forces are taking damage.
Mineral field.
so yeah, you see Hydra Lurker. This kind of a situation, definitely do not want to like. You can attempt to engage with the mutas, but do not actually force. Like I would be so fucking scared of watching you engage with mutas here, because you're gonna lose all your mutas if you engage here, if you don't get the most amazing Baneling hits. And well, let's just see what happens. Yeah, you killed a nice clump. Your mutas are kind of staying a little too long, but yeah, no, I don't like the roaches though at all. But your mutas, like they engaged. They didn't lose. You did not lose too many, so that's okay. You did a great initial engagement with the Banes, but just imagine if instead of making all these roaches, you had way more Banes as well, and instead of having just enough Banes to kill a good chunk of the Hydras, you had enough Banes to kill pretty much all the Hydras, and then also kill drones, and then kill bases, like kill hatcheries. That should actually be your. I would say that should be your goal if you're in this stage that you're already in, because doing a roach switch right now is, especially against someone who just switches late game Hydras, is gonna fail super hard, because you gotta kind of expect if he goes late game Hydra, there's a very good chance he's also gonna be going for a Lurker with it, and roaches are you're already kind of like countering yourself. Going.
Yeah, and I already saw the lurkers at this point.
Yeah. Yep. So at this point now, I would say the only way you're going to win this game is if you get lucky. And like the only way you're going to do damage is if you get lucky, like what you just did, where you just go, oh shit, he doesn't have anything defending here. Because if this dude just spread out some lurkers, like there's no way you really take good trades here.
Yep.
And this is now turning into a base trade, which I've discovered in Bronze to GM, everybody likes to do. Fucking everybody base trades.
I felt slightly more prepared after that. Yeah.
I will say there was no reason for this to need to be a base trade for him. It was 100% needing to be a base trade for you. So this is actually great news for you that he decided to let it go to that. Because you actually have you do now have a chance to win this game. You might actually even win it. I don't know, but yeah, like it's the best thing you could do now would be literally just to take more hatcheries around the map and avoid the lurkers as much as you could, because you just killed everything. And you're even catching hydras and stuff in the open. Yeah, you're crushing. You've actually killed enough of the You've actually killed enough of the hydras to where he doesn't have anything to cover his lurkers anymore, so you just win the game now, which is good. Or do you? Yep. Yeah, it was okay. You're gonna be like, no, I lose. I'd be like, what the fuck?
No. I eventually got inspired and made more units, and he had nothing to shoot up, and that was
exactly, yeah.
But yeah, I felt definitely falling super behind early is that's why I don't want to fall behind in ZvZ. I feel like later on I do better, but I'm often playing from behind.
Yeah, it's big. The biggest. So yeah, the game's over. The biggest thing for you that'll fix your play a lot is the two Ling scout rule, because it'll stop, and also the overlord placements. And whenever you're getting attacked, you should always be looking for flood. If you're trying to macro, the general idea is you match the flood, or you make something in relative similar numbers. So if you have already 8 Lings out and you see a big ass swarm the first time, you can look at it for the first time and be like, that looks like it's about 30 Lings. That's a fucking lot of Lings right there. And let's say you're like, I have 4 Banes in the way and I only have 8 Lings or whatever. I'll make another like 16 Lings just to be safe here. And then that you just spent your larva. You now have to wait for a while to spend your next wave, because now you're waiting on more larvae to spawn. You're waiting on your next inject to pop. And let's say you see another flood of another like 15 Lings or 16 Lings coming out of his base 20 seconds later. And while you're like, you just see it off the mini map. You don't actually look at it this time, because now you're trying to like micro against Ling Bane. but you see a flood of lings, and this is why multiple overlords are really good, because you might not catch it with one glance at the minimap. You might catch it with your third glance at the minimap, and your third glance might have been, you might be glancing at the minimap every 8 seconds, 8 seconds, 8 seconds, and by the third time 8 seconds has happened, let's say at second number 4, he ran past reverse overlord. At second number 6, he runs past your second overlord. At second number 8, he's running under your third overlord. And you're like, oh, I see him now. So it gives you more chances to see the flood. And you can go, oh, okay, he's still flooding me. Let's make more units. If you see no floods at all, and you think you have enough to defend, again, that's why it's judgment calls, where you're like, all right, well, if I don't plan on counterattacking you and being extra aggressive, I just want to absorb and make drones, I can then make drones.
Yeah.
And the first,
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, the first person to get to that optimal saturation, where you can actually go into like roaches or tech beyond just lings, is going to be the winner almost every time, because you will always take major advantages against somebody who's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm making mass lings. I'm like, I guess I'm going to attack you. I guess I'll make lings again. I guess I'll attack you again. I guess I'll make lings again. I'll attack again. I don't know. And then you're over there just being like, I'm defending your attacks with cost efficiency. I'm droning, defending, droning, defending, droning. And suddenly now you're like, well, now, okay, I'm just going to counterattack you. And I have 50 drones and you have 24. And then you can't ever stop my like roach production or whatever at this stage, because I'm just making so fucking many, and you're screwed.
Yep.
All right, we can jump into another one.
Okay.
But yeah, just that's huge. That is huge, huge, huge ZvZ mentality right there.
Yeah, definitely the takeaways are the Ling Scouts and the Overlord positions.
Yeah.
Spreading out even after the first two.
Altitude
getting those
matters.
out.
Thank you very much for the 3-month resub, man. Much love. Much love. All right. Let's jump into this next one. And there's so much to talk about. Just to give you one more little like thought on the last game. There's a lot of things to talk about with like choice of unit and choice of like positioning and how you're attacking and stuff like that. But long story short, trying to sum it up, if you think you're ahead, map control is in your best interest, because you can get further ahead by expanding again and not allowing your opponent to expand and bullying them into being extra defensive. But you don't have to overcommit there if you don't want to. It's again, it's judgment call, but being aggressive is okay when you're ahead. When you're not ahead, when you know you're behind and you're just, you're kind of trying to survive, doing something more cost efficient is usually going to be your best bet. Like, for instance, like we talked about against Mitas, going Drone Spore Queen. It would have been a great way to go about it in the opener, and maybe go into like Infestors or something. But going into Spire is okay again, like we talked about, where if you would have made drones as a priority, it would have been much safer. But making units to be aggressive on the map when you're behind is a guaranteed way you're going to lose against people who are better than you. Like, who are like, I would say like Masters level. They will always punish you for that.
Yeah.
So.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Okay. All right. Let's see this. Let's see this fucking build again. Okay. Let's see your 17 hatch. If you do it again.
Yep.
Oh shit, dude. No, it's you'll definitely notice a difference defending a 12 pool when you actually 16 hatch it. It'll feel so good. All right. So you got, and then here's another thing too. You see how there's 2 overlords right now on your base? Like, you can see overlord for overlord. If you ever see this, you don't need to save your overlord to 2 minutes, because you know automatically if he's got overlords paced at the same time you have overlords paced, it's impossible for him to have made a pool before he makes a overlord, which means he's not actually doing a 12 pool or a 13-12.
Okay. Yep.
All right, and you see the creep. It looks about the same as yours, pretty much. You're getting over to his base. You're taking a third. Your build's super standard. You're going for a bane nest. You ripped 1 drone off after you took Zergling speed. Wait, I'm going to make sure you're doing that, actually. Hold on. Do you do that? Let me make sure. I'm going to quickly bypass that and just make sure. Okay, so we have 100 gas right now. Okay, you are. Good. I was gonna say if you're gonna go Banes
I've started to leave 2 on to try to make Overlord speed if everything's chill.
in ZvZ,
Yeah.
don't ever do that. Don't ever do Overlord speed that early. Like Overlord speed later on is okay, like when you have a layer, but do not ever get Overlord speed before you make like a Baneling nest, if that's what you're talking about, or stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah. Only ZVT or.
Only, yeah, like you can do it in ZVP and ZVT. Do not ever do it in ZvZ, because in ZvZ there is no reason why you cannot get your Zergling Scout into his base.
Right.
Like you should always be relying on the Ling Scout, and then also if you go Overlord speed, you are open to so many fucking timings that will kill you, whether it be your opponent's doing a Bane all in, a Roach all in, a Carapace all in, a Melee all in. Like so many things can kill you if you invest 100 gas into Overlord speed early on in ZvZ.
Okay.
A new queen has emerged.
So Overlord placement on the top again is fine. Yeah, where I like. I was gonna say it's not fine, but where it's about to shift move is gonna be great. Overlord on the other side, closer to his natural, needs to be south a little bit. You should be moving that thing to like maybe where that flower is. Like see that yellow flower?
Yep.
Yeah, like so you can basically, it would allow you to see up the ramp, so you wouldn't be running into like a Baneling, and also it allows you to see the move out, but it keeps it safe away from the queen too.
Okay.
Where it is now is okay, but it could totally be punished by a queen moving out. Okay, you move it back. Perfect. That's perfect. Okay, where it is again, right where it is right now, I don't mind that either. But where it is now, though, it's extra safe against a queen because it's even further back. But now, every time you run up that ramp, you should actually lead with 1 Ling and then run with the pack, so you don't get screwed.
Okay.
All right, and now we see he's moving out with a fuckload of Lings, and this is why, again, the 2 Ling Scout rule is really important. You always want to, if your opponent doesn't go for a third, especially again like we talked about, you really want to scout his like no matter what, you always want to scout his base. Like your first Lings, just get into his base and just count his drones at his natural compared to yours. You can also see the larva. Is he actually popping drones out of the larva? Is he popping Lings out of the larva when he already has way more than you do? Does he have a tech there? Does he have, like a Bane Nest, a Roach Warren, an Evo Chamber? And if you can even do this even further, if you get into the main base and you scout his gas, it tells you everything. If you scout, for instance, let me I'm gonna quiz you really fast. Okay, let's just say you make 4 Lings early and you get 2 of them and this is before you have speed, by the way, because your speed won't be done at this point. But 2 of your Lings get into his base, and you scout 0 drones on his gas, and he doesn't have a third base. What would you think he's doing?
But he has a gas, right?
No, he's mined he's got like Zergling speed, but he has no gas mining like he has right now, for instance.
I would say it's pure speedling.
Yeah, perfect. That is what's happening in this game, and that is exactly what you should think it should be, because there's nothing else it should be at that point. He's just going for a speedling timing. Now, let's say you get into his base and you see, again, no third and 1 drone on gas. What would you kind of think it would be?
I could say speedlings or Banes.
I would say it's probably going to be speedling again, like it is now. And there's a potential that he's going to go into like a very delayed layer. There's a chance he's going to go into a very delayed Roach timing. But the fact that he doesn't have a third, again, reinforces mass speedlings. There's no reason to fucking not mine gas and also not take a third. It means he's doing a timing. Okay, let's say he has 2 drones on gas. What would you expect? What would you kind of think that would be?
I guess it's more likely it's like a Roach, potentially Layer Nidus or Layer Spire.
If he had 2 drones, no matter what he's doing here, I would say none of it's going to be tech. It's all going to be any type of attack, because if he's not going to mine 3 drones on gas and go for a quicker layer, it's definitely not going to be a tech build.
Okay. So then it's more likely to be Banes, I guess.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'd say. I would say it's most likely going to be Banes. And if he has 3 drones on gas, again, it's either going to be Banes or like Roaches. Or it could even be like an Evo Chamber with 3 drones on gas, like a upgrade build. But again, your Ling Scout would see too, right? It would see, you would run by his drones on his natural, and you would see, okay, let's say at this point you have 5 drones on your natural or 6 drones on your natural, and you also have like another 3 in production, and you run into his base and you see, oh, he's only got 3 on the natural, and he's got like 4 Lings popping out of his eggs instead of drones. And then you run into his main and you see, no layer and no gas being mined. Like it basically, his build would tell you everything is aggressive here. And again, a big factor of that is lack of third.
Yeah.
So, because and the only reason why I'm really stressing on this, why it's so important, is because you could have reacted to what is happening right now about 20 seconds before it's happening.
Yeah. This is definitely the root of why I get behind versus aggression.
Yeah.
I don't see it coming far enough ahead.
Yeah. So it's and then if you would have been able to react to it a little bit sooner, the spine crawler, instead of being at 7 seconds, it could be almost finishing right now, like 27 seconds of the way done. You could also have made a couple lings in preparation for this, like a couple more lings, to immediately right now be making banelings, like on your ramp or something next to your queen or wherever. And then by the time he shows up at your base, you have banes that are like popping out of the eggs, or like they're just about to finish, so they won't get denied. And then his spine crawler finishes as well when he gets there. And then you could also even make more lings right now, or have already made these larvae into lings rather, so you wouldn't be larva capped, and you would have another like 6 or 8 lings on the way to arrive, you know, for when he arrives. I'm gonna back that up. I was going a bit fast. I like the block on the ramp at least, and you pulled your drones, which is nice. You're saving them. I would say, because of how late that was, because of how late your spine was, canceling it would have been probably the right call here, because there's no way it's going to finish in time. And instead, using that money to make more lings with to help defend yourself. And this is where it gets a little crazy. Okay, there's a little crazy here. There's something to practice. But imagine, right now, okay, he shows up at your base. And again, like I said, I do like that you pulled your drones. But at the same time, I also wouldn't be opposed to you using them in a certain way. Like, I just don't want them on the mineral line, essentially, is what I'm trying to say here. If you use your drones in a way where you mineral walk through your queens and you time it to where your drones attack the lings as soon as they get in front of the queens, so it shoves the queens back and it shoves the lings forward, and the drones get in the middle. You don't sit there the whole time and let all your drones die when you do this. You just buy your queens a couple seconds. Like, literally, like, we're talking like 1 auto attack, or like 2 auto attacks, like 1 second, 1.5 seconds, something like that. And then you can mineral walk again through the lings, like back towards the natural mineral line again. And you can attack the lings like 1 more time, just like poke them once, and then mineral walk again. And what can happen is you can keep smacking the fucking lings with your drones, and the drones will not actually gain aggression from the lings as long as they're not auto attacking, because the queens are in the area right now, and all the lings are trying to kill the queens at the moment. The only way he can counter micro this is if he hold positions his lings for a second, and it'll start smacking your drones. If he's on A move though, it will not hit your drones until you attack. But if you attack only for like a split second and then mineral walk again, your drones will get hit like once or twice, and then they'll go back to mining, and none of them will die. And it will just soften up the lings more and more for you, of his.
And it like buffers for the queens, right?
Yep. And it not only will it make the queens live for a few more seconds longer, which will make them do more DPS that way, but it'll weaken the lings too. So your queens will be picking the lings off a little bit faster. And the only reason why I would suggest this is because you are not getting flooded. You are also not being hit by banes. You're being hit by 1 round of lings, and you could totally save your queens right now, and also not lose your drones at the same time. If this dude was flooding you nonstop, you could still attempt to do something like this to start, but it might be a bit more scary because, like, you know, you're getting flooded and he's going full on here. It's going to be a bit harder to defend. But because he's not flooding you at all, like, he's definitely going to eventually flood you, but it's really delayed. Like, you could totally defend this, and if your lings or if your queens stay alive, it increases the power of your follow-up so much more because you actually get to maintain inject still.
Yeah.
But again, like, long story short, like, the drone thing is like, oh shit, things are terrible. We need to figure a way out to deal with this. That is how that could happen. But long story short, if you just reacted to this sooner and had lings ready to go sooner and a spine sooner, you would have been fucking great. You wouldn't even need to pull drones.
Should the spine be further back? I'm looking at it now, like behind the mineral line, like where you where you recommended my drones or my lings fought in that last game.
Only in a game where you don't have link speed would that be really important. But because you have link speed now, like you both have link speed, it doesn't follow the same rules as like if you're getting 12 pulled or something, or like someone's doing it really early aggression. This is the best way to say this. You're not wrong when what the question you just asked. Like, yes, if you put your spine next to a mineral line and you've reduced surface area on it and you make him commit for deeper into your base, that would be a more efficient spine crawler here than where it is now, or it could get fully surrounded. But realistically at this stage, again, there's no reason to be surprised this hard because of the scouting rule. Like,
Yep. Okay.
that's the big one. Like, you need to know this is happening before it happens. All right, and then yeah, this is what's making it hard now for you too. Just because your queens are dead, you lose injects. It's rugged. You do have Ling Bane, which I mean is gonna help you definitely have a chance to come back here. But now we're in a situation where you're on 1 base versus a dude who's now going into 3 base, which is rough, friggin' rough. But you turn it into a 16-minute game. Well done, dude. Oh man.
Yeah. Sometimes they know how to wound you, but they don't know how to finish you off.
Yeah. So definitely, I would say one thing I like that you're trying to double expand again, and you're using Ling Bane to do it. That is important. That is good. But I think one thing you're missing out on is you're not remaking queens fast enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like, your queens should have been being remade as soon as you were letting them die. Like, even before he actually broke into your mineral line. Like, if you know, okay, my queens are dead, like, there's no way I'm saving them, you should be, like, that should be your trigger to be like, I need more queens now. It helps you recover faster if you think about it like that. Good, like, it's like preventing future losses. And then we can see he's going into roaches. You are also going into a roach warren. This is that moment again. It's scary, but you have to try your best to get, like, again, like 2 lings into his base, because if we're looking at your vision, I know you just took a little bit of a fight against his army with some Ling Bane, and you had an overlord die to scout his 3rd. But if we actually were to ask ourselves, like, how many drones are we up against? Like, right now, it's a fucking question mark. Luckily for you, it's 31 to 30. But this is that moment where it's like, if you actually just started going mass drones and he was going to all in you, you die. If you make mass roaches right now and he's droning, and then you don't attack him, you eventually lose anyways. Like, you have to...
It definitely was gambling right now.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of Zerg's gamble though. It's not even in GM, Zerg's fucking gamble like crazy. But scouting, here's a good name drop. Okay, the only reason why someone like Cyril is as good as he is because he is so fucking good at scouting, and he is someone that follows like this rule I'm talking about, like, better than anyone I've ever seen. Like, he is always fucking scouting with like the Ling here and there. And he's always getting reads on his opponent's builds, where he never plays a question mark game where it's like, I don't really know if I can do this, but we'll see what happens. Like, he always just knows because he's very active with scouting. So it knowing, like, the first part about like playing quickly and efficiently is knowing a plan, like knowing what you should be doing, like having a plan. And the only way you can develop a plan is by understanding what's happening in the game. And if we were to scout him and go, okay, you have a spine and you have 1 drone on your 3rd right now, and then let's say we, run around him another way and we get past his army and we go, okay, you have another spine at your natural, but you have a lot of drones. Like, you got to kind of make a judgment call where it's like, is this army that I just scouted and is this drone count that I just scouted enough to be threatening for me to make units right now? Or should I be making drones because his army is small enough to where if he does move across the map with what he has, I can make an army as he does it, and I can just, as he moves across the map, I can react by making roaches then. But then I can also scout him again about 30 seconds to a minute later with lings again and go, how about since last time, did you make another round of drones or did you make another round of roaches? And it's just, again, it's like 1 or 2 lings. And you don't even have to sack it all the time. It's, if you can, keep it alive as long as possible. And if you somehow you can get in and out of his base, that'd be great. But if it dies, it's okay. It's like half a larva or 1 larva just to get a read on giving you, you know, understanding of what's happening in the game.
Definitely.
I'm stressing it really hard because it is the most important thing about getting better at ZvZ.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Okay, you have a ling going up. You're scouting the 4th. Okay, so I like the attempt. That was good. And also you were trying to scout into his main, I think, through the natural, but he has it walled off. So your ling got, the AI was like, let's run around to an open area. So it goes around this way. And then I think you redirect it to go back to the natural. And you see a fucking spine in a wall. But I like the attempt, okay? This is where it begins. This is the first time you've scouted all game, I think, with the ling. Other than like, you know, going for attacks with him. But genuine scout, I think this is the first time you've done it. And I want to see more of it, for sure. But already you can be like, okay, well, he's walled off his natural. He's got a spine. This already tells you. This is like... I would say, just by seeing this alone, it's not super definitive of like, oh, yep, he's just droned his ass off. But it seems like it. Like, no one really does this kind of shit unless they're droning. Like, instead of just having an army sitting there that's like, yeah, I can handle aggression if it happens, he's making a fucking wall that's going, if you attack me, it's going to be harder for you to attack because most likely I'm being greedy as fuck. He's actually getting...
definitely defensive.
Yeah. He's also getting triple upgrades, which is nuts as well. This guy's crazy. But yeah.
I think he's used to just winning in the first 2 minutes.
So I don't know what I want. I might go for some lings. I might go for some roaches.
The royal sampler.
But yeah, you droned behind it. You actually, no, sorry, you droned up 3 base economy of mineral lines, and you're making roaches behind it. Again, you're playing this like drone roach, like you're kind of swapping in and out of units. It's working out though, because you guys are kind of both doing it. So you're both staying relatively close on worker counts. Like you're tied right now. But yeah, like if a player just scouted and saw that one player was making, you know, not enough units to really be threatening, but also kind of squeezing drones in here and there, and they just went for one quick fucking round of drones and then slammed out units nonstop, you would see a like a humongous supply differential where like the player who's kind of going drones, roaches, drones, roaches, drones, roaches, versus the guy who just goes drone, 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 and now mass roaches. The guy who does the mass drones and roaches would be like maxed out, when the other guy who's going drones, roaches, drones, roaches would be like at 140 supply.
Yeah.
And I like the Ling Scout again. I love it. I love seeing it. I definitely want to see more of it, but I really like that you're already starting to do it in this game, like here and there, because now you just saw a big scout right there where you go, not only did I see a 4th base, but I also saw mutas, and it allowed you to build spores before he gets here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's fucking game changing so much right there. Like now you're not going to lose a bunch of drones. You have the now window of time to make a tech switch, which is now going to be Hydras, and these mutas that he just invested into is going to massively weaken his ground push, because now he's like, if he were to be going for a ground push, you got to just realize obviously that there's a ton of mutas in the air now. That means that your roaches and your roaches pretty much are not really going to be super threatened by his roaches because he invested so much into muta. So it feels, I would say this feels good for you. This is great. And then this is the shit that people who go mutas are fucking YOLO. They're crazy. I don't understand. He's like, you know what? I'm going to fuck this spore up. And he's like, oh, I'm going to fuck that queen up, actually. And I'm going to go between 2 spores that basically just fucking annihilate these mutas. It's like, yeah. We're just watching mutas just fucking die so fast now. So,
I love it, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a lot of that was like 4 or 5 mutas that just died for 1 queen. So that was a great, like, even better trade for you. Army location for you though, this is scary. This is actually scary. You definitely want to, I would say right now, best way to position your army would be put half of your army in front of your natural and put half of your army in front of your third. Just it does not matter what goes where. Just like green box it in half. Because I think the one thing you're actually vulnerable to right now is he's actually the one thing he has done to you, which with mutas, which should always happen, which is good for the muta player, which is he's blinded you. You have very little map vision right now, so you don't know where he is. And if he just runs some Banes into like one of your bases right now, both of your outside bases are vulnerable at the moment to a Baneling run by, especially if you had Baneling speed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I would say always kind of just expect any player who goes muta, always kind of expect that they're going to follow it up with Banes too. It's like required. It's going to always happen versus the higher level you go in MMR, the more likely it's going to keep happening. But I also do I do very much like that you're that you got level 1 Carapace. I know you don't have enough money at the moment, but I would love to see you also get level 2 Carapace. Carapace is amazing against muta players. It's what makes Hydras go from like if you're going up against like Hydraling Bane, or sorry, Mutaling Bane rather, with Hydra Roach, and you're like splitting the Hydras up while you're absorbing the Banes, and then you're like having the Hydras like kill the mutas. That Carapace upgrade is what's going to really make or break the difference for you to actually overpower or get owned by the mutas. Mm-hmm. It's massive.
You're under attack. Siege up.
All right. And another thing that's kind of scary. Overseer. Always. There's a lot of things that I can see you could get punished by. And in higher levels of play. I'm just going to throw it out there. Like, you're doing good. I'm not trying to say it's not good. But like, if you move out like this against someone who's going Mutiling Bane now, and you do not have an Overseer, all this Zerg has to do is go, where's the likely places that my opponent's going to most likely engage? It's going to be one of the ramps or one of the choke points. So if this dude put Banelings like in front of his third, like let's say like 10 Banes, or 10 Banes on his ramp where his Evo Chambers are, and you walk your Hydras over here, all that has to happen is he can engage you right as you walk over them, so all your Hydras stack up on them, and then he blows up his Banes, and then all the mutas get to kill all your Roaches, and so on and so on. Like, it's a great way to like literally just throw the game away.
Yeah, and also I would clear up his creep defense.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. That's another side effect of it being positive right there, for sure. And I'm not gonna lie, the reason why your Hydra's traded so well there is because you had Carapace. Like, it's if you didn't have Carapace there and you because it's the same rule of mutas versus mutas. Carapace is really good because it reduces the bounce damage as well. It just makes your Hydras last so much longer. And Hydra DPS is fucking insane against mutas, so I'm really glad you got at least level 1 Carapace. I want to see you get level 2, but yeah, I'm glad you got level 1 at least. And I really like what you're doing too now. This is solid. Do more of this shit when you get into situations like this. Like, if you know you just want a big fight, fucking just like run all over his bases and cripple his economy as much as you can. Because there is no, like, if you would just, like, let's just say you chalk it up to being like, you know what? I'm going to just kill the 4th base. And he regroups an army where, he kills your army now, or he's able to push you back across the map. And you're like, well, I killed his 4th, he killed my 4th. That's, you know, the game kind of resets itself, and it really comes down to like how much you both have remade. But what you're doing right now, this is so much better than killing the 4th. You just wiped out his army, and he killed your 4th, but now you're killing all of his fucking economy. This is way, way, way more impactful than just killing his 4th base. So I really like it. It's really good.
It's also just hella stressful. This is the stuff I lose to.
Exactly.
People throw units into all my bases.
Yeah. Because you are killing so many fucking drones with this.
Running out of minerals back home.
Like right now, you've killed 28 drones, and in economy, you've given yourself a nice lead. He's kind of recovering. He's making drones though, but you did give yourself a bit of a lead in that regard. Like that was good, and you're making more army behind it. So you know you're not missing the macro beat basically. But now, the game, like he did defend well enough, so the game is kind of stabilizing, and it is kind of resetting to a point where it's normalized. But now at this point, I'm gonna ask you another question, because I see what you're doing. What do you think is the best course of action right now with what you've seen so far? Like Mutaling Bane or Mutabane player, or not even Bane. He's actually just going Mutaling so far. He could go Banes, but you're going Hydras. He's going for Mutastyle. What do you think is the best course of action right now?
For me,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I went to try to go kill him, but I think you're gonna have a better answer than that.
Okay. So if I were you, I would say you're susceptible to counters, and also you're very susceptible to Banes. If this guy gets either Bane speed, or if he just does a run by when you're in the middle of the map, either one of those ways he could win the game.
So lurkers.
Yeah. Yep. I would say get lurkers, and then maybe leave like one spine and like a lurker at every base. So we're talking 4 lurkers and 4 spines, maybe 5 lurkers and 5 spines if you take a 5th base back to where that one just died in bottom middle. Just in case he does a run by, because lurker will just fucking shred Zerglings all day, especially if the Lings are also going to try and get on a spine crawler. And perfect ways to position it would be like this, okay? On bases that are mining out, you don't have a choice. It doesn't matter. It's fine. But on bases that are kind of fresher, like for instance, look at your 4th base right now. And do you see how there's like mineral pocket in the bottom middle of it, where you could put a spine crawler between the 2 right and then all the 6 left patches?
Yeah, I'm watching your stream.
Yeah, okay, yeah, like where the box is. If you put a spine right there, his Lings, if they did a run by, would group and clump really fucking hard in this area right here, because they'd all be trying to kill the spine. And if you put a lurker like right here, like kind of where like your larva spawns or like where your queen is, your lurker would just continuously cleave into the fucking clump of Lings off the spine. And that would make a run by complete, like if it's like 40 Lings, like 1 lurker and 1 spine would kill 40 Lings. It would be
awesome.
ridiculously cost efficient. Same thing here on this base. You could put a spine right there. You could put a spine right there. And a lurker in the middle of the mineral line, same thing. You could just have it cleave into the fucking Lings. On your natural, you could put a spine right there. Or I don't know if the spine could actually fit right there. I think it might fit right there. Or you could put a spine right there. You could put a spine. If the mineral patches get kind of mined out, you could just literally put a spine in the open too. It still will take good trades. It won't take as amazing trades as the other ones, but it will still take enough trades that are well enough to kill a run by before all your shit dies. And in your main base, you could put a spine like literally like right here, and put a again just another lurker nearby. And then you could have like with your main army now, you could have like 6, not even like mass, just like 6 lurkers or something. With your army, so every time you're about to engage, and you should, again also have overseers, so you don't. For number 1, you don't get fucked by burrow, and number 2, you also can make some changelings that can scout forward, so you know what you're running into before you run into it. And if you go, oh look where there it is, it's right there. I see him. If I keep going this way for another 5 seconds, I'm gonna run at him.
Good evening.
Sorry, there's a donation
Wanted to
message.
say
Sorry, one sec.
hello before streaming.
Yo, what's up? Thank you, Rogu. I appreciate the bits, man. Thank you. If you run at him, with like seeing where he is, it gives you the more knowledge of going, okay, well, I need to burrow my lurkers, but not yet. But I'll burrow them before I engage him, rather than having like always that crisis moment of being like, shit, he's engaging, burrow, split, like don't die. So it gives you more just like control, basically. And that would be there's no way you could fucking lose if you did that, the way he's playing. Now he's got Banes, and I just see your Hydra's getting pounded. Well, I mean, he doesn't really have enough, but if he had Bane's speed there, that could have been way worse. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
The best way to describe what just happened is, I would say, you just put your money on red on roulette, and it hit red.
Yeah, he made more mutants. It's awesome.
But now, yeah, you're just gonna win the game because you did out macro him overall, and like you just had more shit to kill him with, so it worked out. But definitely, if you played it a bit, some ideas that we throw out there just to play it a bit safer. There's really no way you can get punished for something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I shouldn't have been as scared of more mutas because I had upgraded hydras.
Yeah, and then another thing too would be if this guy were to go mass mutas, a great response to it as well would be just literally go into like a hive, and you could go into 3/3 upgrades. You could go into either spellcaster. You could go Viper or Muta, or sorry, Viper or Infester, and you could either rely on fungaling them with some hydras, or you could go for a couple parasitic bombs. Either way would be great. Because hydras fucking dominate mutas in low numbers, but if there's like a shitload of mutas, and then now like maybe like not all the hydras can attack at once, and now your hydras are getting picked off, like not only even just the first hydra, but the bounced hydras are also getting picked off in one shot. That's when if you had like maybe a couple Viper to bomb it or a couple Infestors to fungal it, suddenly mutas get shit on again by hydras all over. But that's only if he has like mass muta, for sure. But yeah, I don't know. Any questions about anything we talked about?
No, I think the better scouting and the overlord placements are like my main takeaways. That
For sure.
Those tips in those particular scenarios you had make a lot of sense. Especially like fighting with the lings and the queens on the ramp and behind the mineral line.
Yeah.
In that first game was a nice one.
Yeah, it's definitely because just like an idea for like a macro mindset is macro usually gets advantages over time. So trying to create situations that buy you more time are great ways to get out of situations where you're getting all in by somebody and you're the one who macroed.
Mm-hmm.
So for sure, I'm glad that you remember that, because that is actually very important. Like it's definitely a great way to deal with cheesy Zerg players.
Awesome. Can I do a quick shout out?
Yeah, go
Shout out to my girlfriend Anna, who bought me this lesson for Christmas. Awesome gift. Can we get some Vibu hearts and some PogChamps in chat for her?
I'll join in on it, dude.
Thanks.
Yeah, she was really nice when she emailed me. I was like, there's actually 2 people that did that, by the way. She was one of 2 that were like, I really want to just buy my boyfriend a coaching lesson. I was like, oh my, that's so nice. That's so wholesome.
Thanks, Chad. That's great. Green and purple hearts, amazing.
Yeah, but yeah, shout out to her too. That was awesome, and it was fun coaching you, man.
And she's in chat. Look at that, puncture.
Oh man, yo, what up? Yo, good lesson, good shit. I hope you have a great rest of your day, dude. And
yeah,
thank you to both you guys for doing a lesson. It was fun.
Thanks, man. That was really useful. Appreciate it a lot.
Yep. Take it easy, man. Good luck.
Later.
All right, guys. That was a coaching lesson brought to you by Puncture and Emu Farmer, the esports power couple. But if you guys liked it, I have many more coaching lessons just like this on my YouTube, so go check it out. And I will see you guys in the next one. Until then, take it easy. Peace, guys.